Hey dudes and dudettes, I'm Derek with GameSomniac.
And I'm SlayerXTR. How are we doing this, well, not evening, but this morning? Yeah, there we go.
Getting there. It would be better if it was the evening, because we like, me and Mike's thing is talking about survival horror video games in general. And as you guys know, darkness and horror are not two strangers. So it definitely would have been better if it was nighttime. It would have been more in the mood.
It would have been a better mood, yeah. Especially because I'm playing Silent Hill 2 again. Like I was doing in the last video that we put out. I was playing Silent Hill 2, and that door's unlocked now. Yay! Woo!
He did it! He found a door!
He found a door!
That's an accomplishment in that fucking series.
I know,
finding
a door that's actually unlocked that you don't need a key for.
So this is our second podcast. Last episode we talked about the Silent Hill franchise, and this episode we're going to be talking about the survival horror genre in general. We're going to be talking about where it's been, where it's going, and where it is right now. So survival horror, Mike, what is definitions of that again? What would you say?
Hold on, there's someone in here puking.
I'm telling you, every time you hit those monsters, the ones that spew stuff, it just sounds like an ass, just taking the worst dump ever. It's kind of disturbing to listen in on.
Oh no, it's a cutscene. That's what was happening. This dude, big fat dude's like puking up. I found him. Anyways, survival horror by definition is a game, or not really a game, I would say. Survival horror, in its aspect, is plotting a single character in a situation that is to an extreme. Usually in a horror situation, and I'm actually going to mute this for a second while they're going through the cutscene. Survival horror, in definition, is plotting a single character by themselves, or maybe with a couple others, but they're generally by themselves. Yeah. And they're in an extreme situation with limited ammo, with limited resources, against all odds, against zombies, against mutated monsters, against huge creatures that they get a hold of you. It's instant death. And a few good examples of games that fall into the survival horror category are Dino Crisis, Resident Evil is a good example, Silent Hill is a great example, Clock Tower is a good example.
Damn straight.
Any of those games and other games like it fall into that survival horror category. There are also other games that fall into the survival horror category. Now, there are a lot of good survival horror games, and there are a lot of I want to gouge my eyes out with a popsicle stick bad games. Now, we're going to discuss on our podcast what some of our favorites are, what some of the worst of the bunch are. And then you guys might be, we'll want to see your comments. We want to see what you guys think and what your list is. I have a top 10 already in my head, already put together like that. I could list off for you pretty fast. Derek probably has a good list for that as well. Because to be honest, there's not that many survival horror games that are actually really good that make my list. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about the games and stuff like that. Derek, what are a few of your favorite survival horror games?
Well, you got to go with the classics as well when it comes to putting in favorites, because it's the kind of things you grew up with. So like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, the basics. Loved Dino Crisis. The first horror game I ever played, first survival horror game I ever played, it was for the PC. It was a game called Phantasmagoria, and it was one of those. It was one of those digitized games, kind of like Mortal Kombat, where the game was acted out, and then you would control it using the user interface, and then it would just play another cutscene which acted as the game. So it was really cool because it was almost like playing a horror movie. I mean, the death scenes in this game were so fucking realistic, oh god, it was just so gory. And the slightest mishap could really just throw you off. So it was a very tension-filled game, and a lot of what survival horror games really thrive in is building tension, and that definitely plays towards a good game. So definitely Phantasmagoria, Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Obscure. The Suffering was a really good, very underrated series, but that was a really good game as well. And then I actually have some favorites that I haven't played yet, but I've definitely favored them based off of what I've heard. So like Fear, Siren, Deadly Premonition. I love Japanese horror games. So stuff like Dread Out as well.
And a lot about Japanese horror games is Japanese. The culture, as far as the horror stuff goes, is usually always based on the supernatural and paranormal type stuff. I'm not a big fan of that stuff, but there are some Japanese horror games that are extremely good. Whoa, I just found a pit. Holy crap. Oh, I had to get a coin, but there's like 3 of these guys. But like I was saying, don't spray me. That's not fair, you dick.
Oh no, Mike's pulling out the fair card.
But anyways.
Oh, damn.
I think out of all of them, I like Siren. I have played Siren. Was it Blood Curse? And I really love it. There's also Fatal Frame and Fatal Frame Crew.
Yeah, Fatal
Some
Frame.
of those are 2 of the best if you're gonna go with the ghost route of the horror games.
Yeah.
Those are probably my favorites if I had to play the paranormal type horror games. And
for sure.
And they're also good Japanese games. I mean, that's what they're kind of based on. A couple of favorite of mine that are really kind of obscure and hard to get is Rule of Rose. That's a really good horror game.
Yeah.
The thing about, and when it comes to obscure horror games like that, the reason that they're obscure is because they were banned. They were actually banned here in America, but not in the UK, because there's a certain scene in Rule of Rose where a woman, I think, gets raped, and I'm just thinking to myself, Silent Hill 2, he rapes a pair of legs.
Yeah.
But yet, a woman getting raped is off scene. I can understand why that could be, but that's not fair.
Monsters don't have the same civil rights as humans do. Monsters are still fighting for their civil rights.
Exactly, and I'm all about that. I'm kind of like that. I'm kind of like the Al Sharpton of the monster community.
Oh no! Oh no! Okay.
So,
But no, good points though. Definitely.
Why the hell did my switch go off? My damn flashlight went off for no damn reason whatsoever. It was just like, I'm gonna take a break now. So fuck you. And I mean, there's Haunting Grounds was the other one I was thinking of. It's an obscure horror game. There's also Clock Tower, which is really good and amazing.
Yeah.
Except for the third. Anything after the third one, I think, is pretty terrible. The third one might actually be bad too. I can't remember. I haven't played it.
The third game developed by Capcom was not as good. Actually, well, wait a minute. Because there was Clock Tower, the first Fear, which is technically Clock Tower 1. Then there's Clock Tower 2, which was Clock Tower in America. Those 2 were the best. Clock Tower 2, The Struggle Within, was absolute shit. And then Capcom made another game about it, and that was also shit. And then Haunting Ground is actually considered to be Clock Tower 4. It's not, but it's weird. It's almost like Army of Darkness isn't Evil Dead, but it is Evil Dead. That's kind of like Haunting Ground. So that was a good game. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Everything after Struggle Within.